Sean in the Bronx. How are you?
Hey there, guys. Good evening. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I was wondering if you know anything or have any opinions regarding presuppositionalist apologetics.
Is this the there must be a rational reason thing?
Well, it's. I mean, to be honest, I'm not exceptionally familiar with it. I'm familiar with it more from a DVD with Douglas Wilson and Christopher Hitchens called Collision. You might be familiar with it.
I haven't watched that yet.
And Douglas Wilson uses this tactic of apologetics, this presuppositionalist tactic, specifically Van Tillian presuppositionalism it's called. And as I understand it, basically it says that the Bible is the source of truth, and since it's the pillar, the foundation of truth, you have to assume it, and to try to disprove the Bible or to try to argue against God, you need to accept the logic that the Bible provides you with.
Well, that's bullshit.
Yeah, well, I mean,
you can't just start an argument by saying.
I wanted to see what
you can't just start an argument,
and that doesn't surprise me, Jeff.
They can't. It's an audio problem with it.
You can't just start an argument by saying, here's the book I'm going to defend. This book is the source of truth, and therefore, if you disagree with it at all, you're wrong. That's not an argument.
Yeah. Right. Well,
that's bullcrap.
To play Douglas Wilson for a second, what he would say is, the atheist will say, well, you can't use the Bible to prove the Bible. So then Douglas Wilson will say, well, you can't use logic to prove logic.
Oh. Except that he's wrong.
When you use logic to prove logic, he'd say, well, you're just opening up your Bible to prove your Bible.
That's a category error. A book is a book, right? Logic is a system.
Right.
It's not the same thing. You can't throw out one if it's pointed out to you that you have to throw out the other.
Yeah, it's silly. Start to finish.
Yeah.
First of all, the claim that
was that logic. I mean, not only is it a category error, but to deny logic. I mean, like there are certain axioms that you just can't deny. Biblical or not. Because it's the whole definition of an axiom is that in order to disprove it, you have to assume it, and so there are things that, regardless of the Bible or not, you just can't.
There's a difference between axioms that you have to accept in order to get a system like logic to work, and axioms that you are told that you have to accept in order to swallow the rest of a book like the Bible.
And I actually don't buy the axiomatic.
I
actually don't buy the axiomatic anyway. I think that it's the logical absolutes are self-evident.
And by the way, those logical absolutes came from somewhere. They weren't handed down by the gods to Greek philosophers.
Right.
The whole system was developed, and some bits of it turned out to be, these things just seem to obviously be true all the time. So we're going to operate as if those were true all the time. And even so, as logic was being developed, there were discoveries, there was research in logic and development of the system. It didn't get handed down on golden plates from angels to the first philosophers. Now you can't say that about the Bible. The Bible's supposed to be a thing that was like, blah, God said blah, and there it was.
Right. Yeah. Well, I guess if anything, it seems that that kind of this presuppositionalist argument is kind of the whole.
Where do religionists come up with these terms? I mean, the very word. I have enough problem with the term apologetics. I'm not.
Yeah.
The Bible is not my field, right? But why would you call me effort to defend this stuff apologetics? Sounds terrible.
With the Bible.
Okay, fine.
On assumption,
but why
the
would
person who uses the presuppositionalist argument assumes the Bible from the beginning, where they say that other people just assume logic from the beginning.
I'm just saying the word apologetic sounds terrible. It's like, this is my apology. I believe all this stuff. Here's my apology for believing all this stuff that I can't prove. That's probably not what it means. Like I said, it's not my field.
I mean that.
I don't
criticize them for that because
presuppositionalism.
I can't hear you interrupting him.
Okay, but presuppositionalism. Why not just call it a priorism?
Right. Yeah. Well, that has fewer. Does that have fewer syllables? It might.
What on earth?
Might not sound as pretentious, but
It may be
in any case, anybody who hasn't seen this documentary Collision between Douglas Wilson and Christopher Hitchens, he uses that a lot. I'd suggest it just to expand who's ever
hey, you know what?
experience of arguments.
You know what? If I presuppose that he's wrong, then he's wrong.
There you go.
Because Matt, of course, Matt here is the source of all truth.
Yes.
That's what
We had a guy
that's
at
what
the
board has been telling me.
Was that
at
guy
least.
before the show told you
I think so.
you were a god?
Something like that. I hope so.
All right. Well, that doesn't surprise me that those are your opinions. That's pretty much what I thought. But so just quickly then before I leave, last time I called a while back and just brought up the Christian side hug video really briefly. However, there's a newer video which hopefully you've seen. And if the Christian side hug video is possibly satire, this one unfortunately I'm convinced isn't. It's the Insane Clown Posse's latest single called Miracles.
Yeah, I've heard about it. I haven't paid any attention.
I haven't seen it.
I've heard about it. I haven't paid attention to ICP.
You don't pay attention to ICP?
No.
That's a shocker.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you're in the mood for entertainment, I'd suggest it.
If I'm in the mood for entertainment, I'm not going within 10 frickin' miles of ICP.
Just like imagine the worst teleological argument that you can imagine, like the most pitiable argument from trees ever.
Yeah, I heard a bunch of people taking it to task. We're almost out of time. I got to let you go.
Yeah, sure, please. Thanks very much for taking my call, guys.